Okay, so you get the situation, you get some kind of awareness,
Yep.
and then there's a solution that's evolved, and then you actually take action on it. So in this particular case around listening, and this particular skill that a lot of salespeople are very deficient in, how would you use SSA to coach a salesperson so that you don't get those defenses up, but that they accept your coaching and then hopefully implement it to become a better salesperson?
Well, as you all know, the quality of coaching depends on the quality of the questions you ask. So my question that I most ask when we go out of a visit is, John, what do you know more about this customer? What type of information do you have? What is he doing? And in a lot of cases, the sales rep, he doesn't have a great answer. He said, yeah, I don't know. And sometimes he realizes very fast that he had talked too much and he didn't ask a lot of questions and that he didn't listen. So he's realizing that there is a lack at a certain level.
Okay, so you get him to admit the fact that this particular skill is not something that he's doing, but instead of you telling him that he doesn't do it, you just sort of ask that innocent question, and then he admits it.
Absolutely, and what I get a buy-in. And for me, that's the most important thing in coaching session is getting buy-in by our sales reps so that they really understand that there is something that we have to work on together.
Right, right. So that's the first step is
Yep.
in SSA, which is the situation. So you create that awareness and you get that buy-in, and you're not telling, you're asking. And then so the second step is solution in SSA. How would you do that?
Well, then I ask him, knowing the fact that apparently the listening skills weren't that good, what type of question could you have asked? If you could redo the visit again, what would you change in the way you acted? And then they think about questions they could ask the customer, information they get, and what they can do with the information. So I really put them through the visit again, and I say, if you're knowing this, what would you change?
Right. And this is immediately after the call. Maybe you're walking out of the office that you just visited, or maybe in the car or something like that. You're doing this kind of debriefing, right?
Absolutely. I don't wait the whole day. I debrief as soon as possible after the call, or whether in the car, or whether we take a cup of coffee or whatever, and we roll over it immediately so that everything is still clear in the mind. If you do this at the end of the day, well, most of us, we already have forgotten 50% of the day.
Right, right. So, okay, so you got the situation, get the awareness, and then you ask them how would they change, you not telling them, but you asking them how they change. So they tell you how they would change that. And then the action step, how would you implement that?
Well, then after that coaching session, I said, yeah, now this afternoon, we're going to see another customer. Knowing this, that the listening was a problem. But right now you have some strategies and some good questions. How are you going to implement this in your afternoon visit? And then sometimes I even simulate a call. I'm playing the customer, he is a sales rep, and we're doing some role plays in which I can even give a lot of suggestions so that he's really going to practicing, because it's not only about phrases, he also has to act upon.
So you get him to admit what or lay out what the action plan is for the next call. And typically in this, the action step of SSA, do they usually give you the answers that you're looking for, or do you need to sort of prompt them to help them specifically with this skill around listening?
Well, it depends a little bit on what type of sales reps you have. If you got a newly hired rep, well, we need to help him quite a lot. And we have to give him additional information. But in my point of view, if the sales rep is working for 1 or 2 years, a lot of these people, they know the answers. They know the answers and they know exactly what to do, but they are not always doing it in the right way. So there we need to coach them for.
Right, right. So the older or the more tenured the sales rep, the less telling you're going to be doing here anyway. And I think as a sales manager, you start by doing a lot of telling coaching because they don't know what they don't know, but then gradually you wean yourself off that, and it's much more of this sort of ask kind of scenario. And so typically for the tenured sales reps, it's all ask at this point. They know what they need to do. They're aware of the fact that they need to do it. They're just not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you, Ralph. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, in this specific example of listening skills, what kind of things, what kind of actions typically will sales reps tell you so that they can improve this particular skill that they're deficient in?
Well, sometimes I give them the action could be that they put some questions on a paper, Sometimes they tell me, well, I'm going to see to the customer, and behind his head I'm going to see a white paper, and on that paper is marked what is his map of the territory. And only this mere suggestion from on their behalf, they change their visit. The quality of their visit is really increasing.
Excellent. So the SSA model, it's sort of a three-step model, and I think, which is great. And I think a lot of sales managers probably do this, and they want to do it. They just don't actually do it. But if you put some kind of structure around it, then if they're actually aware of it, then they can go out and start using it on a regular day-to-day basis, if not, hopefully tomorrow. And so with this SSA model, this is excellent. I mean, specifically for sales managers, I think a lot of them realize that they need to do more coaching, but they need to think of it in a structured kind of way so that they then use it and do it on a day-to-day basis. And seeing how skills coaching is the most prevalent kind of coaching, and listening skills is a skill that I think every sales rep needs to get better at, we've put together a PDF document for you below this video that specifically outlines the steps that Alex typically takes when he's coaching sales managers on how to coach their sales reps when it comes to this skill of listening. So that's great, Alex. We really appreciate you getting on the line here today and talking about this critically important skill on coaching.
Thank you very much, Rolf. Bye-bye.
So in our next video, we'll be talking about an exciting new sales manager training program that Alex and I have put together that highlights skills like this one in this video, as well as the one in our first video on motivating. Now, I hope you've enjoyed these videos, because nothing gives us more pleasure than to help sales managers get better at their craft, and that's really what we're all about here. And hopefully you've taken a lot from these videos and used it in your day-to-day dealings with your salespeople to become a top sales manager. So if you've liked these videos, these two short videos are really just the tip of the iceberg into what we'll be teaching in the Sales Management Success Blueprint program. So stay tuned for our next video, which is going to be released in just a few days, where we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit and tell you exactly what the Sales Management Success Blueprint is all about. So keep an eye out for that next video in your email boxes. And for my colleague, Alexander Nijs, until then, to your sales management success.